Your phone buzzes. The plan is off. And before you even finish reading the message, your body reacts. Your shoulders drop, your chest loosens. You can breathe again. Not disappointed, not even conflicted at first, just relieved. And that's the part you usually keep to yourself, because you liked them. You meant it when you said yes. You may have even wanted to go when you made the plan. So why did cancellation feel better than connection? Most people would call that flaky, or antisocial, or proof that you never really wanted to be there in the first place. But that's usually not what's happening. For some people, the plan itself is never the whole burden. The real weight starts earlier. The moment you agree, part of your mind begins carrying it. Not dramatically, quietly. You start holding space for it. You think about what time you need to leave, what mood you'll need to be in, how much energy you'll need to sound present, interested, normal, easy to be around. Even before anything happens, the plan is already taking up room. That's one of the things most people don't realize. Social exhaustion doesn't always come from the event itself. Sometimes it comes from the anticipation of having to be available for it. Not physically available, internally available. Ready to respond, ready to read the room, ready to keep the interaction moving, ready to give people a version of you that feels awake, warm, and engaged. And that readiness costs more than people think, because socializing is never just showing up. It's attention, it's timing, it's self-regulation. You are noticing tone, choosing your reactions, filtering what you say, adjusting your face, your voice, your energy. You are deciding constantly how much of your real state to reveal and how much to smooth over. Some people do that lightly. For others, it's expensive. That's why a canceled plan can feel like more than a canceled plan. It can feel like recovered capacity. Not because you hated the person, because the demand attached to the plan disappeared all at once. And if you've ever felt guilty for that relief, the guilt actually tells you something important. It usually means the relationship mattered. If you didn't care, you wouldn't feel bad. You wouldn't think about what this says about you. You wouldn't need to hide how good it felt. The guilt means you cared. The relief means you were already running low. Those two things can exist at the same time. That's what people misunderstand. They assume that if being with people feels heavy, then you must not really like people. But often the opposite is true. The people who feel the most drained are not always the least social. Sometimes they are the ones doing the most invisible work. They are the ones staying tuned in, picking up subtle changes, trying not to make things awkward, trying to make the other person feel seen, trying to stay emotionally accurate. From the outside, it just looks like a normal conversation. Inside, it can feel like sustained processing. And that difference matters. Because when people say, "It was only dinner," or "It was just a casual hangout," they are measuring the event from the outside. But your system measures something else. It measures input, attention, adjustment, emotional bandwidth, the cost of staying present. That's why the same plan can feel light to one person and heavy to another. Not because one person is broken, because they are not spending the same internal resources. If this is sounding a little too familiar, leave a quick "same" in the comments. A lot of people know this feeling. They just don't usually admit it. There's another reason this relief can feel so strong now. Modern life keeps you socially activated long before you see anyone in person. You reply to messages. You react in group chats. You answer emails in the right tone. You stay reachable. You stay explainable. You stay emotionally legible. And none of that looks intense. That's what makes it easy to miss. But low-level social effort accumulates. A message here, a check-in there, a quick reply, a meeting, a notification, a conversation where you sound more okay than you actually feel. By the time an actual plan arrives, you may already be partially spent. So when someone cancels, it doesn't always feel like something was taken away. Sometimes it feels like something was returned. Time, yes, but more than that, internal room. And that may be the real difference here. Some people don't experience social plans as an ongoing background load. You might. Some people only spend energy once the interaction begins. You may start spending it much earlier. That doesn't automatically make you deeper, better, or more evolved than anyone else. But it does mean you may not be reacting to the same version of the experience. You are not only reacting to the dinner, or the coffee, or the hangout. You are reacting to the lead-up, the mental holding, the preparation, the self-management, the awareness of what it will take to be fully there. That's why this feeling can make you seem out of sync with other people. They think the plan got canceled. You feel the weight disappear. They think something fun was lost. You feel something heavy lift. And if you've spent years reacting that way, it can leave you with a quiet suspicion that you were never built for social life the way other people seem to be. But the truth is usually more specific than that. It may not be that you dislike people. It may be that you dislike how much of yourself it costs to be around them well. That's different. Because some people can be present casually. You may not work that way. For you, presence may be a fuller commitment, more energy, more awareness, more real attention. And if that's true, then of course your battery runs differently. Of course canceled plans hit differently. Of course relief shows up where other people expect disappointment. The important thing is not to confuse that with failure. You do not need to turn every feeling of relief into evidence that something is wrong with you. Sometimes it is just accurate information. Information that your capacity was lower than your obligations. Information that your week had already taken more than you noticed. Information that your social self was still scheduled to perform after your inner resources were already dropping. And if you ignore that often enough, even good plans start to feel like threats. Not because they are bad, because your system has learned to associate them with cost. That's the part worth paying attention to. Not in a dramatic way, not as a diagnosis, just as a pattern. Because relief is not always random. Sometimes it points very clearly to the kind of strain you've normalized. The strain of being available too often. The strain of carrying interactions more seriously than they appear. The strain of living in a world where connection rarely begins when you meet someone and rarely ends when you leave. So, the next time a plan gets canceled and you feel that instant exhale, don't rush to call yourself cold. Ask a better question. What exactly got lifted? Not who. What? What pressure? What expectation? What internal effort had you already started paying for before the night even began? That answer will probably tell you more than the relief itself. Because sometimes the feeling is not, I didn't want to see them. Sometimes it's, I didn't realize how little room I had left. And that is a very different truth. If this felt uncomfortably accurate, leave a comment with the word relief. And if you know someone who keeps canceling or seems to pull back right before plans happen, send this to them. It may not explain everything, but it might explain more than people usually say out loud.